Welcome to a special edition of From My Perspective podcast. It is Selection Sunday review edition. I'm your boy Dion. I got the do-rag on the desk. So you can call me Do-Rag D today. You know we're joined by Captain Hate himself. Q, how's it going, Q?
Hey man, what to do with this? Your boy, Mr. Bell, aka can't say your name up on this pod. Might not get you the mouth. What's going on, Dion?
Nothing much. Just another Selection Sunday. Well, first one we've got to enjoy for a while, but we got some people in the building today. We got Q's sister Ray. She's a guest, but she's not a guest again. She knows she has to take her shoes off when she comes in the house. She knows where the refrigerator's at. She knows where the bathroom's at. How's it going, Ray?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. She was here for us for the last review of Selection Sunday, so she comes to join us again. And we got Mr. Seneca Rogers. How you doing today, man?
Hey man, doing good, man. Glad to be here with y'all. Glad to talk about this election Sunday with y'all.
Yeah, he has his favorite team was a controversial one, but we'll get there. Let's go ahead and start out light. In college football, they're talking about expanding the college football playoffs. It went from four, now it's at 12. They're talking about expanding it even more. Apparently, it's the same thing in college basketball. Right now, it's 68. They're talking about moving it to like 72 or 70 or 76 or 78, something like that. Ray, I'm gonna start out with you. What are your thoughts on a potential expansion of the NCAA March Madness bracket?
Personally, it just seems like it's more to keep up with. I know it's a money thing in the end, but it's money for the big schools. I don't feel like they're gonna let more smaller schools in. Um, I know they probably saying, yeah, we'll let more smaller schools in and they'll have better opportunities and this, that, and the other. But let's be honest, you're gonna have the SEC putting up numbers that they put up like they did this year in many schools that they got. They're gonna, and as many schools as ACC, they're gonna look at your top conferences first.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if are they really gonna really look at the smaller schools? Let's say how much money is the smaller schools going to contribute to this expansion?
No.
So that's just me. I know that it probably looked good in the long run, but I just feel like it's just extra for no reason.
Seneca, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel similar to Ray. Like, I mean, we did the expansion to the 68. I feel like the 68 has been going good because I feel like the first four has actually been pretty cool. I mean, last year you saw NC State go from the first four to the final four and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So that was pretty dope. But I feel like at the end of the day, you're not going to be seeing some of these mid majors getting in like that. It's just going to add on more of the big money conferences. I mean, the SEC today got 14 teams in, and not saying that the SEC is some of those teams are not deserving, but that's a part of their plan is to create these super mega conferences. And then I feel like if you do expand out that way, you're just going to be getting in more of the bigger schools. I don't think it's going to add on more of the mid majors getting there.
Captain Hater, go ahead.
You know I'm about to listen. Let's keep it real. The expansion's coming.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's coming. Why is it coming? Because money. That's why it's coming. At the end of the day, it's all about money. And this year the SEC got 14 teams in, but next year they probably gonna feel like they deserve 14 and they only gonna get 12. And they commissioner, when he don't get his way, he start causing a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And the expansion's coming. I feel like I think the expansion should also happen because there's 352 Division One basketball schools.
Yep.
There's 352. That's a lot of teams. That's a lot of schools. I think there should be rules in place though, so where there should be more at large given to the mid majors. Like Boise State need to get in this year. Boise State should have got in. Mind you, I might be a little biased because I was up late on Saturday nights and I was watching Mountain West basketball and I was kind of bored. So I might be a little biased with that. But I think they should have got in. I think if we was at 72 this year, Boise State would have got in. Mind you, West Virginia would have got in with a middling record as well.
Indiana too.
Yeah. So it's gonna come with a gift and a curse. You might get one or two more mid majors, but of course you're gonna get 4 or 5, the middle and
not so great
Big 10, Big 12 schools that shouldn't really be in conversation. But I mean, we know it's gonna happen because it's money. The answer to all your questions is money. That's what I was told.
I agree 100% with you guys. I just don't feel like there's no point. The talent gap is a lot tighter. At least with the women, the talent gap is a lot wider. There's a reason why I saw the stat right before we got on the podcast that I believe the top 3 seeds are like whatever in one, and the only one was Harvard beating Stanford. So if you're a 1, 2, or 3 seed, you almost automatically. So they definitely shouldn't do it for women because the talent gap is just too far. For the men, it's a little bit closer. I will say, but. I just don't see the reason why they should. But again, Q, you're absolutely right. It's all about money, and the big majors conferences is going to benefit the most if they do it. I would like to see those smaller schools, like those smaller conferences, like what the Sun Belt or the one that Bellarmine is in. I think it's something like Athletic Sun or something. I think that's what.
Yeah, the A-Sun. Yeah,
the A-Sun. Maybe give automatic bids to the team, both teams that make it to the championship game. 2 teams make it to the championship game. That's your reward for making it to the championship game. The champion, you get the trophy, but the runner-up, you still get to go to continue your season. You don't just end it because with those smaller conferences, a lot of those teams have great seasons. They win the regular season they win the regular season conference, and they slip up in the championship game or in another game, and because you're in that small conference, we can't give it to you, dog. We gotta give it to a middling SEC, Big 12, or SEC team. So
yeah, does the SEC really need 14 teams?
This year they was like that this year. I'm sorry.
That's true. But if you can't win your you couldn't win your conference. So how we should just assume you can win the tournament?
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's a little bit wild to have 14 teams because I just don't know. You get to some of them teams, is there like another mid-major out there that's possibly better than some of them last couple of teams that got in there for the SEC? I believe so. So, I mean, you just putting them in there. And I think even another layer that I feel like if you talk about the expansion piece, then are we just going to be looking at that first round, the first 2 rounds of just being nothing but ridiculous blowouts?
Yeah. Yeah, that the 116, obviously we've had a couple recently, I think like 2 teams total recently, but there was a stretch where it's never happened. If they do expand it, it's going to be another long stretch before a 16 team can be the 1 seed because that 16 seed is going to be not horrible, but a team that probably shouldn't even be in this conversation. And it probably it probably wouldn't even be a 16 seed. They'll probably make it a what? Or they'll probably just do more.
Like a 13, 12, like it's already a playing game for the 11.
Yeah, they do more of those. They'll be doing more of those playing games. But
the 16 seed, that's my issue, which I know we are going to tangent. I know we got stuff to talk about. But I don't think if you win your conference, you should be a 16 seed. Because I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah. You gonna reward me by playing the number 1 team in the world, in the nation.
I'll win my conference. Now I gotta go play Auburn.
That's a really, really good point there. That makes sense.
I did what was expected for me. Everybody that was on my schedule, I beat and I took care of. But Oklahoma, who decided to join the SEC for what, for who, and for what? Now y'all a middle in SEC school, and y'all medically get a 7 or 8 seed or whatever. No. Yeah. If you that last place in the SEC, if you that 14th team in the SEC, you should be the 16th seed. You should be the one playing Auburn again because you already proved you couldn't beat.
Wow.
You're not wrong. And like,
wow.
Again, another reason like the suspension, they want the suspension to happen is because of these dang super conferences. These
Yeah.
super conferences, people are beating up on you got teams beating up on each other. That's just giving them big conferences that's in super giving them super conferences another hope. Like, oh, well, there's more teams that get in there. So man. So we can join these super conferences now.
D.I., you know how I feel.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. Oklahoma and
Yeah.
Texas.
They
Why
shouldn't
we
be
gotta
there.
give y'all special treatment because y'all decided to go join the lower conference?
Yeah, it's
Well, y'all
stupid.
could have went to the Big
Right.
12. Y'all could have stayed in the Big 12 and walked in everywhere.
Yeah.
Again, you end up making it to the NCAA tournament with an 18-15 record,
That's ridiculous.
It's
and
not.
just because
Yeah.
you're in the SEC.
But one thing that if the expansion was this year, I'm sure Seneca he would have been not as nervous today because Seneca he's a UNC fan and apparently they are the final. They was the final team to be in there on 11 seed, but from all the things that I've seen, they was the final. They was in that final four team in, and they was that last team. So let's go ahead and start with you, Seneca. What was your thoughts going into Selection Sunday? Did you think your team was going to be in there? And now that they are in there, how do you feel? You feel about it?
I was nervous about them if they were going to be in there, especially because looking at the record off the quad one wins, we only had one. We had 12 losses. I mean, you can't just sit up there and say because the last two times we played Duke, it was more competitive games, and that
Mm-hmm.
should get us in there. I did feel like that we were a tournament team because I felt like at the end of the year we were playing a lot better than what we were doing closer to the beginning, mid part of the season. So I felt like we was hitting a good stride, but it still was up in the air. But I even told one of my homeboys today, I said, if they are going to let Xavier in, then we should be in too.
Yeah.
If they're going to let Xavier in, because both of our quad one records are basically the same. Only both of us only got one win, and I said I felt like our strength of schedule was tougher than theirs. If we look, because I mean, you played the Auburn, you played the Michigan States, you know what I'm saying? You done played all of these teams that was doing big in their conferences. So I felt like, but you just never know. But when I seen it come up there, first four, whatever, we in there. So now
Yep.
go out there and win some and try to prove that you should have been in there because you're gonna be
Okay,
the
so
talk the whole time.
just looking at the first weekend, obviously y'all in the first four, y'all will play San Diego State University, and if y'all win, y'all will go and play Old Miss. Also in that area is Iowa State, which they have a player one of their star players is hurt, so people are kind of down on them, and they got Lipscomb. In that little area, that first weekend, do you think you guys can do something, make some damage, beat San Diego State, beat Ole Miss, or beat Iowa State or the other?
Yeah, I looking at it when they showed it and even looking at it now, I'm like, hey, if they come out and play like how they were playing during the end of the season at the beginning part of the ACC tournament and even how they played that second half against Duke, I feel like they can make it to the Sweet 16. I'm not gonna just sit up here and say like, oh, we're a Sweet 16 team, but I feel like with the matchups, we could because to me, Ole Miss is one of those middle of the road SEC teams. Their record is not that far off from what our record is, and then like you said with the Iowa State injury, it might be a shot. Like that would be an upset. Not gonna say it wouldn't be because it would be an upset. But I could see us getting to the Sweet 16.
Gotcha. Ray, what was your thoughts on North Carolina being in?
So with North Carolina being quote unquote a home state,
Mm.
as my brother would say,
You spend half
um,
you spend half your life there. Like we
got
can't
it.
ignore that. We
But
can't ignore
majority of my life was spent in North Carolina than Kentucky. I will say that. Uh, you want to pull for the home team, right? So when they was playing against Duke the last time, I heard a lot of people say they gotta win, they gotta win, they gotta win, right? And when they lost, I said, oh, this doesn't look good for North Carolina, right? So it became concerning. That's when I really started kind of cluing in, like, wait a minute now, has North Carolina really had a bad season this year? Now I know that Louisville beat them, and the reason why I know Louisville beat them is because I follow Louisville basketball, right? Just because I lived in North Carolina did not mean that I followed North Carolina, Duke, or NC State. As a matter of fact, I hated Duke. and NC State. So therefore, with that being said, I did not follow North Carolina. So with that being said, I'm happy that they was able to get in. It did not shock me that they were the last four out because they have been talking that they was going to be the last four out for days, for weeks actually. So with that being said, yeah, I'm happy that they got that opportunity. I do not think that Jalen Withers will ever make that same mistake that he did the other night here. And it was one of those mistakes that I don't even think he was even trying to make. It was one of those things he's probably meant to step back instead of stepping forward. But and you can't really say it cost them the game because you don't know if dude will really hit that shot. I mean, everybody said, "Oh, I think it did go in,
It went
right?
in. It did go
It
in.
just would have
It
tied the
went in and
game
it's his
though.
fault."
It just would have tied the game. You
Yeah,
don't know what's happening after
You
that.
you really
yeah.
can't say, saying, yeah, it went in, but hey, for whatever reason, it just wasn't meant to be, right? So, um, I do find it ironic that he is a former Louisville player, though. So, and I do find it funny that whenever he does anything wrong, Seneca, the Louisville blogs and the Louisville web pages blow up on bruh. I mean,
They do.
blow up on him, and it is hilarious. It
It
is
it
funny.
it is. Yeah, I actually watched that game. I kind of felt bad for Jalen with his obviously a former Louisville player. I've actually met the person. I've actually had somewhat extensive conversation through some work that I was doing a couple years ago when he was still here. He was like an intern at somewhere I was working at. So I've had extensive conversation with him and L. Ellis. I've had extensive conversation with them. It was during our terrible. We was terrible. Louisville was terrible at the time, so it was mostly about that. But he was a good dude. I felt bad for him, and I'm sure right now, when he saw UNC's name as they was in, he probably a boulder was probably lifted off his shoulder because he probably felt like he cost UNC a tournament bid with that mistake. But now he can shake it off, and hopefully he can do better in the tournament as he has a chance. Q though, gotta ask Captain Hayden himself his thoughts on UNC.
Oh man, I feel bad, right? Because Seneca, you do the fantasy football league with us, and you do the March Madness, the bracket challenge with us. You came onto the pod a couple times. I feel bad for saying y'all should not have been in this tournament. You should not have been in this tournament whatsoever. It should again. I have my biases because I watched the Mount West. It should have been Boise State, but I do. That being said, I do think that I think y'all gonna beat San Diego State, and I hope that y'all beat Ole Miss. Why? Because I root for the ACC. I gotta hope. I mean, I gotta hope that y'all get it. Y'all get it and y'all get over it. But I don't. From my perspective, I do not think y'all should have been in this tournament. I think it should have went to Boise State. Jalen Withers, when he stepped in, I felt bad. Even though he left Louisville, he had some things to say, right? I felt bad for him because he's still a young dude. He ain't mean to do it. It was an accident. I felt really bad for him. And also, you could blame him, but you could also look at the fact that what was it, Seneca, 6 or 7 threes earlier in the conference, that he got them to that point.
Yep.
Because they wouldn't have won that game without him. So you can't blame North Carolina fans. Can't blame him. The Louisville fans, boy, they tear his butt up. You hear me?
Yeah.
Awful.
They tear. That's the other reason why I felt bad because it's like, yo, he ain't been here in years. Why I still got this so much resentment for this man?
I didn't realize until y'all said that the Louisville fans be going hard on that man like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They don't like that era of Louisville basketball because it was just that bad, and he was part of that era.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame Withers for that loss because I mean that was just a mistake in a game or whatever. That one mistake, like you don't know what would have happened after that tied up if they would have came down and hit. You don't know if overtime we would have won, whatever. And I mean, I feel like to not have that be a turning point in this situation, you don't put yourself in that place. You know, better plays, better stretches of ball wouldn't have had that been that big of a factor. So I don't put it on Withers and everything. I know the young man feel bad, but I don't put it on him. And I hope my squad get to prove Q wrong and get a couple of these wins and go on a decent run. So then I can hit y'all up in the message and be like, yo, you see what happened when we in here? But you know, it's all good.
Something to help out Q. Sorry, Seneca, but North Carolina's record against quad one teams, 1-12. Indiana's record against quad one team, who didn't make it, 4-13. West Virginia's record against quad one team, who also didn't make it, 6-10. Ohio State's record against quad one team, another team that didn't make it, 6-11.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
So before we move on from North Carolina, though, another thing I want to bring up about North Carolina is their athletic director is on the selection committee. Now, from my perspective, I don't think any active athletic director should be on any committee, basketball, football, but any committee. It's not a good look, especially in a situation like this where they was the last team in. Even though they say when that team they get to talking about that team, that person's supposed to leave the room. Even though they do that, and I'm sure they do, it's still not a good look with that athletic director being on the committee. I think he's actually the acting chair member.
I was going to say he's
so
the
that
chair.
makes it even worse. Q, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's probably why they got in. They ain't want him to walk back in the room and be like, "Hey, y'all didn't get in." You know what I mean? So that's probably why they got in. Don't say. And let's be real, it's the name between the chair, but it's also the name. At the end of the day, March Madness is also it's a television show. It's a production. They gotta make their money. Who gonna make you more money? Boise State or North Carolina? Indiana or North Carolina? This ain't Indiana about night. You know what I mean? This is North Carolina we talking about. So you're gonna go with North Carolina.
Oh yeah, I mean that could be real stuff right there that you're saying. I can't argue against that fact. That is real stuff because I mean it's March Madness. You don't even hear it called the NCAA tournament that much. It's just called March Madness. And I do agree with you, D, that active ADs being a part of the selection committee because the optics of that doesn't ever look good. And regardless of whatever you say, there's no way really around that. But hey, if it did work in our favor and they did slide us in there because of that, I'll take it. I just wanted to be an attorney. I didn't want them to try to say we NIT bound or not playing no more, put us in there, whatever. Sliding dollars, I don't care.
All right, Ray. What's your thoughts? Active AD on the active chair.
I'm kind of like you. I don't feel like it should be done. As many people out here that has all these different voices, why do we have to have ADs, right? They already have important jobs at their different schools. Why can't we have people outside of school ADs in these chairs? You have Tom Jurek, who's still out there. If I make no mistake,
He doesn't.
I don't. He's not. He's not an AD.
Right. He's not. He don't have a job.
Why can't he be on one of these cheerleaders? You know what I'm saying? That he's a great AD, so therefore he would have a great opinion on who to put in and who not to put in. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that I think I'm like you. I think there's so many other people that could have jobs, but who am I?
All right, so let's go ahead and get through this. We still have the women's tournament to talk about, but there's one major issue we have to talk about. Sorry, Seneca, we do outnumber you, so we have to talk about the travesty that happened to Louisville today. It was bad. I thought of that Ice Cube song or that diss track Y'all know the song that he did to NWA. That's how I felt like Louisville got did. Louisville ended up, we are the number 13 team in the nation. That's where we finished in the AP polls. And they gave Louisville an 8 seed. And not only did they give us an 8 seed, we are the 8 seed in the the number one overall bracket, which Auburn is the number one overall seed. I have my thoughts on that in a second, but Auburn's the number one overall seed. Louisville's the number 8 seed, and we have to play Creighton. Only bright thing is that we are in Lexington, which is down the road. That's where that team in blue plays. It's basically a home game for us. I feel like Auburn probably should be upset. But before I give it to you guys, somebody, Real Card Gaming on Twitter, he tweeted out the seeding of the number 13 team in the AP poll. I'm not gonna go through it. He went back pretty far, but the last time a number 13 seed was a eight number 13 team was a 8 seed was in 1993. It was New Orleans. Now, don't ask me what New Orleans. I don't even know. I didn't know New Orleans had a basketball team. But outside of 1993, there was a couple sevens, but pretty much consistently they were a 4 or 5. And then there was some 2 sprinkled in there, and there was some 6 sprinkled in there, but pretty much 4 and 5. Q, what was your thoughts? Because man, I'm pretty much glad we didn't do the podcast earlier because I was that upset.
I think it's honestly, I think it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Now I get what so I don't get why. So it's 2 things I don't get. Why is Louisville a seed, and why is Auburn playing in Lexington with the potential of going against basically a home team? Because if you're the number 1 overall seed,
should have the easiest route.
You should have an easy route. You should be playing a potential. You shouldn't be playing a potential road game in your second game. Those are the 2 things. Neither one of them makes sense to me. Louisville shouldn't have been an AC. I'm gonna go ahead and get it because I don't know if we're gonna get off. If we're gonna get to it. I also don't think Kentucky should have been 3 seed. Kentucky should have been a 6 or a 7 seed, and that's from a Kentucky friend. We worked with him. He told us. He texted me that. Yeah. But Louisville being an AC, I ain't saying Louisville should have been a 2. I ain't saying Louisville should have been a 3. I ain't saying Louisville should have been a 4.
6.
We a 5 or 6 seed. Putting us at an AC, I guess you looking at and say, hey, we're gonna have to drop y'all down, but we're gonna give y'all a home game. And then if it goes, like I said, in turn, if I'm Auburn, why am I the number 1 overall seed not playing a road game in the tournament?
That's like that's you. When I really lost it, is when they put Clemson as a 5 seed. We beat Clemson twice.
Yeah, that's a good point. I ain't think about that.
That's when I lost. When I saw Clemson was a 5 seed, like, oh, come on. But yeah, Auburn was the number 1 obviously. From my perspective, I felt like it should have went to Florida because they won the SEC. The SEC was that down. I feel like the winner of that tournament. I know Auburn won the regular season, but Florida won the conference tournament. And I think they was like 2 or 3 ranked in the polls. I felt like they should have been the number 1 overall seed. They ended up getting 1 seed, but I thought Florida was the number 1 overall seed, deserving. Some people thought Duke. I was like, I'm not sure. We got put some injuries in it. Cooper Flag, we don't know how healthy Cooper Flag is, so they can't be the number 1 overall 1 seed. But Louisville being the A seed is just a travesty. Before we get to Seneca with his unbiased opinion, let's go with Ray.
So when I seen 8, I was like, why are we at 8? So I'm not like you guys, right? I'll be honest with you. I'm the common fan, right? As Quentin was explaining to one of our cousins today. There's common fans, there's super fans, and all of that. I'm the common fan, right? So, and I'm a big Louisville fan. So when I'm saying I'm looking to Quentin as the big brother, right? When we're looking at sports. So I'm like, now maybe you correct me if I'm wrong. Why are we an 8 seed? we come out the gate. We're not even supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be in the ACC championship. We're supposed to be literally scraping the barrel for wins this year. But the reality of it is that the team got turned around. Now, here's what I think happened. I think the disrespect started with Kenny Payne. And the reason why I go back to there is because the squad was so messed up. And like you said earlier, Dion, you said that era was so hurtful for Louisville fans and Louisville people that it carried on in the commentators world and in the chairman's, the bracketers world too, that they said, you know what, we still don't trust them. And that's how we ended up in this 8th seat, right? And that's just my opinion. That's the only reason why you can give it to me. You can't give it because we didn't have, as another cousin said, quality wins. We did have quality wins. We beat Indiana when they was ranked. It was another ranked team. Yes, we did lose to Kentucky. Yes, we lost to Duke twice. But hey, those are Duke and Kentucky. We lost to Duke when they had Cooper Flag, and we lost to Duke when they was playing their seniors. Duke
Yeah.
is a pretty good team. I mean, hey, they did get a number 1 seed. I don't want to talk about Kentucky. Kentucky is not relevant right now.
Yeah, they're not.
Take
Um,
at a 3 seed. I'm just gonna keep saying it. They shouldn't have been.
and they not relevant for a lot of other reasons. I'm sure you're going to probably bring it up later on. But I just don't feel like an 8 seed was warranted.
All right.
Maybe, like you said, I can't remember if you said it, Dion, or you, Quentin, said it. Maybe no, not a 2 or a 3. Okay, I give you that. But a 5 over a 6? I mean, we went to the ACC championship. We wasn't supposed to be here, people.
Yeah,
Everybody had already counted us out before we even started playing. We wasn't gonna be even. We weren't even supposed to make it to the tournament.
nope.
Before we started playing, we was already like, well, it's a rebuilding season for Louisville, and they're not going to be the Louisville of the past, and we're going to have them on the first 4 out and all this. I'm like, dang, we ain't even really played yet, and they already counting us out.
Nope. Seneca, before I let you go, one more thing from a real card game on Twitter. Shout out to him. Since seeding began in 1979, the AP number 13 ranked team on Selection Sunday has received the following seeds. Number 2 seed, 3 times. Number 3 seed, 15 times. Number 4 seed, 15 times. Number 5 seed, 7 times. Number 6 seed, 1 time. A number 7 seed, 3 times. And the number 8 seed, 2 times. The second being the Louisville Cardinals. So hit us with some unbiased opinions, Seneca. Tell us if we're tripping.
No, I don't think that y'all are tripping. When I saw that Louisville was the 8th seed, I was surprised by it, and basically similar to the point that you made, Dion. I was surprised to see them as an 8th seed and then see Clemson as a 5 seed. I was like, did they choose the wrong ACC team right there? Did they meant to swap them or whatever? Because even when I look at who was the other 8 seeds around in the tournament, I mean, you're looking at what UConn, Mississippi State, and Gonzaga is your other like 8 seeds in there, and none of them are ranked around where Louisville is ranked in the AP poll. None of that stuff. So if you're looking at these various seeds, to me, you're supposed to be seeing teams that are like similar to each other that gets them same seeds, and they're not similar to y'all. Like Ray did make a good point on the fact that yes, people didn't know what Louisville was going to be this year. New coach, you're going through the transfer stuff. I mean, whenever I talk to Ray, she starts to just go in about the Kenny Payne time, like the Kenny Payne stuff. I mean, I laugh at her because I just say like, yo, that Kenny Payne was really a pain in y'all's whatever that era, huh? And everything. So she'd be like, yeah, like she just be over it. But then to see that in the ACC only had what I think like 2 losses until the championship game. So there's 3 losses in your conference. You make it to the conference championship game. Y'all beat Clemson. All of these various things, I was like, They shouldn't be no 8 seed. And then you do get the number one, what they consider the number one overall seed in Auburn. And it didn't make any sense to me. Like, when I was watching the bracket shows, I wanted them to ask the question around how did they decide on that number one overall seed, and also go into how to me, they got the toughest 8 seed out there.
Mm-hmm.
They got the toughest 8 seed right there that they would see in that second round. So, I mean, that doesn't make any sense, because if you look at the rest of their bracket, like, they got the weakest number 2 seed to me with Michigan State. Not saying anything against Michigan State like that, but I feel like they're the weakest out of the other ones that got the 2 seeds. And I just feel like they just did Louisville dirt with that. I don't know if it's like Ray said, how they looked at the Kenny Payne era. I don't know if I can't say it's how they looked at the ACC, because they gave Clemson a 5 seed.
And they put UNC in.
Yeah, and UNC got in. So I don't know. To me, it just seemed like it was some disrespect that was laid there for Louisville.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very disrespectful. We got to get to the women, but before we do, I need you guys' Final Four team. I guess I'll go first since I'm springing on you, give you some time to look it over. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I am being a biased fan with this, just so you know. But I got Louisville, St. John's, Duke, and Tennessee. And in the championship game, I got Louisville and Tennessee, and I got Louisville. Q, what you got?
Yeah, bro, what are we doing here? Are we being real? Or are we like, damn, bro, what are we doing?
I told you, I said it. I'm being a biased fan. I was
Okay.
hurt. I
Okay.
was
All
hurt.
right.
I
So
made multiple brackets, but that one I was hurt about. So I just,
all right, cool. I'm gonna give my bracket I'm gonna do for the money, not for my personal. I'm going to go. I'm gonna go Florida. I'm gonna go Houston, Alabama.
mm-hmm.
Better yet, I'm gonna do Duke, and I'm gonna give you Michigan State.
All right.
Michigan State lost.
I'm gonna give them Michigan State because I don't want to pick our number ones.
Oh.
So it was either pick Michigan State or pick Auburn. Then it's 4 number ones, and that don't happen often.
Yeah, that's not happening. It's only happened one. Again, I'll be watching ESPN. It's probably happened more time, but they said the last time this happened, the national championship game was in San Antonio, which happens to be where the national championship game is this season. So I just want to point that out. Seneca, what you got?
I've got Auburn, St. John's, Houston, and Alabama. And then I've got Auburn and Houston meeting for the national championship game.
Ah, dang, I ain't picking national champion. I'm gonna go Florida versus Houston.
Do like Florida. Ray.
So I guess it's just the way it shook out for me. I got Florida. I do have Florida. I do have Auburn, but I have Vanderbilt, and I don't know why. The way it shook out for me, and I got Tennessee.
I love that she said, "I don't know why I have Vanderbilt."
It's just the way she was putting it down. It's like, dang, I
was just like, oh, I like this person, and I like this person. So therefore, just the way it shook out. I really wanted to go with St. John's because I like Patino. But I don't know about the matchup in the paint between the two. So I had to go with Florida.
Yeah, let's be real. St. John's can't shoot a 3 to say they like.
Nope, they can't. They cannot. But hey, they got one good coach. That's all I know.
They got a hell of a coach.
All right, guys. So let's switch gears to the women's tournament. Looking at the bracket, UCLA got the number 1 overall seed, USC, then you got South Carolina with Don Staley, you got Texas. Those are your number 1 overall seeds. Know you guys got the bracket. Maybe looking at the bracket. We're not gonna go through every game, but I'll go first. But give me some of you guys' storylines that you're looking at I'm gonna go first. There's two that I'm looking at. First off, it's USC and that UConn in that Elite Eight matchup. USC is the one seed in that area in UConn. Paige Buckers versus JuJu. That's primetime TV. I will have butt and seat if they play. I imagine they play with women's basketball. The talent gap is a lot more spread out. You don't get as many upsets. So, but I'm praying it's Paige and JuJu in that Elite Eight because my butt will be in seat. Another game where my butt will be in seed, and this is a personal one. Louisville is a 7 seed, but in the second round, if they beat Nebraska, hopefully they do, and TCU takes care of the business against the 15 seed for Dickinson,
Probably Dixon.
it'll be Louisville playing against TCU, and we know it'll be Q doesn't like her name to be said on this here podcast. He calls her um baby Durant. What was it? Something Durant. He calls her
Yeah,
baby
like Junior Durant. I forgot what it was. We talked
something
about
Durant.
Polo.
But I'm gonna just say HLV will play against her former team in Louisville. So that's the two storylines: USC, UConn, Louisville, TCU. I'm looking forward to those two storylines in this tournament. Q, what you got?
I mean, I think that's the biggest storyline. Also, South Carolina.
Yep.
I think South Carolina. I feel bad for everybody in their division personally
Mm-hmm.
because I think they got something to prove. South Carolina is playing with I got something to prove. So everybody, I think they gonna walk to the Final Four, and that ain't no offense to Duke, the number 2 seed. And no offense. And I know Maryland's pretty good. I think Indiana's pretty good in that same division.
North Carolina's also in that. Duke is the number 2 seed in that.
Yeah, no offense to them, but I think South Carolina's just gonna walk.
Right.
And you pointed it out, so I ain't gonna harp on it too much. I do want to see the Lou and the little Junior Durant play. Of course, I want the matchup. I want to see Paige versus JuJu. I want to see that matchup. But then I want JuJu to win because I want to see JuJu. I want to see USC versus UCLA again.
Mm-hmm.
Why they on the same side of a bracket and that ain't a potential championship? I don't understand. I would have made that a potential championship matchup, but maybe they just want to make sure they get it. So and they don't want either one of them to lose to South Carolina. So they're gonna make it happen in the Final Four. I don't know, but yeah, that's the biggest storyline is do we get UCLA, USC round 3, UConn and USC. We get the senior versus the sophomore. You know what I'm saying? What Paige was a superstar. JuJu is the future. And then, of course, you know what I'm saying, the Louisville rematch with the trail.
Yeah. All right. What you feeling?
So I'm looking at it, and this year, other than Louisville, watching women's basketball is so much funner than watching the men. So I did follow it a little bit more than I did the women. I mean, I followed the women more than I did the men. So I'm looking forward to seeing Notre Dame play anybody, right? That coach is a boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am looking forward to the TCU matchup if both teams make it that far. Now, what I am going to say about TCU looked really good and they did win their conference. However, I was concerned about their ranking, and I know we're not doing seeds for the women, but not concerned, but I was wondering why they got such a high seed just because they won that conference. However, if I make no mistake, and my big brother's gonna correct me if I'm wrong, TCU is in what conference, Quentin?
Big 12.
Big 12.
Big 12, which is also puts you in Nebraska, right?
Yes.
Yep.
No, Nebraska's in the Big 10.
Big 10. What puts you in Ohio State?
No, Ohio State's in the Big 10.
Well,
TCU.
hell. Sorry.
It
I
would
don't
be
know
the
if y'all cuss on y'all podcast.
it'd
Shout
be
out to my podcast. I do have a little potty mouth sometimes.
okay. So they in the conference with your Arizona State, your Arizonas, your West Virginias, your
Okay. So
BYU.
that explains why they got the two. Okay. So that's why they got the two. Okay. So uh, they did put up a really good game that I watched in for their, but I was concerned about the two. I was like, why are they paying? Why are they? Why do they have this 2 seed? But it could be I was a little hater.
Mhm.
I don't call the she should who should not be named Lil Durant. I just call her her
To call
because
her.
That's
yeah.
that's kind of a compliment nowadays, but
Oh, because I don't, when I seen her, I was like, ugh. So maybe I should call her ugh.
Yeah,
Uh,
we gonna call her.
uh, so, but I would like to see them play because I think the last time they LSU played Louisville last year too in the tournament, didn't they?
yeah, and LSU. I mean, LSU was a much better team.
They
Lou-
was low.
yeah, Louisville. This is actually one of Louisville's worst years. Jeff Walsh's worst year. It's this. I said it a couple podcasts ago. This is a rebuilding year for Louisville, but our rebuilding year is better than some schools' best year ever.
I was gonna say this is
Right,
better than some schools every year.
Yeah,
right.
But TCU went 31-3. So they only lost 3 games this year. So that's why they got the 2 seed. They
yeah.
only lost 3 games.
Understandable.
Seneca, you kind of basically said that y'all in trouble, the UNC women's, because they're in the same region as South Carolina, but you give your Lady Tar Heels any shot against South Carolina, huh?
Yeah, I give them a shot, but I mean, yeah, South Carolina is coming in on a mission. It's a business trip for them. If you even seen them when they were showing their selection, they had a look on their face like they was not amused,
They was hot.
Um, and I mean, I feel like they had a right to be hot because I think they should have been the number one overall seed. I think they should have. With that, honestly, one of those things I was going to point out is that I didn't think that Texas should be a number one seed. I thought they should have went to UConn. I thought it should have been UCLA, USC, South Carolina, and UConn as your one seeds. I mean, I know the Paige buckets and JuJu game. I'm gonna be locked in to watch it if they get there to that Elite Eight. But that's where they were at last year in that Elite Eight, and I feel like to me that's more of a Final Four matchup that I want to see than an Elite Eight matchup. And similar to I think Q, you had said it, maybe like the UCLA USC game in the national championship would be dope. I mean, because if you get down to your Final Four, and to me, your Final Four looks like UCLA, South Carolina, UConn, and USC. Oh, that's hot now. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Texas with Madison Booker, she's nice. Like she's a baller for real. But I feel like South Carolina just put belt to in that championship game. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And so that showed a lot. And I feel like they took that on some disrespect. Um, I mean, I think Carolina could end up getting there to get that matchup against South Carolina and stuff and gonna come out and fight, but I just feel like South Carolina's on a mission too. Um, the the game that I know that y'all were talking about where y'all weren't gonna name her name. I mean, I'm gonna say her name because she hoops is Haley Van Lith and she is hooping. And I feel like that the fact that they keep on trying to make her play against Louisville is that she wants that the NCAA tournament wants her to continue to break y'all hearts and see that she's not with y'all no more or whatever. That's what I feel because the girl is bona fide, man. Like, I mean, she's super nice. But also another thing is I think a team that people need to pay attention to in the UCLA bracket is LSU. If Flage and Morrow are healthy, LSU can be a problem in that bracket. I mean, they could possibly play against the NC State, but I feel like they could give UCLA fits because they beat UCLA last year in the tourney. So I think that could be another great matchup out there. with the girls game. And I mean, I feel like the women's tournament is always exciting. You got names everywhere. You got these matchups everywhere. I mean, some of the coaches are even big stars like Moki, Gino, Dawn Staley. You know what I'm saying? Like they're stars and they're right too. But yeah, I wish Texas would have been a number one seed and UConn would have been that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It should have been UConn. And the one thing that the women have over the men's, and it's been like that for the last couple years, the men look a little bit better with as they have the name of Cooper Flag, but the women have more stars still. They have again JuJu, Paige, Buckers, um, Madison for Texas. What you say? I forgot her name from Texas.
Madison Booker. Yeah.
Madison Booker, Baby Durant. JuJu, obviously they got the names in the women's
We not gonna say her name. I'm just saying we not gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, hey, y'all cannot say her name. That's cool and dandy, but I mean, hey, Haley been cooking. She be cooking.
I mean, she did this year.
Yeah, she did. I mean, I think the LSU fit wasn't a good fit for her.
It wasn't.
I don't think it was.
She went there for that ring.
Yeah, she wanted to chase that ring. Yeah,
but
she didn't get that though.
Speaking of LSU, I do like the UCLA versus LSU in the Elite Eight matchup will be a good one. I'm somewhat of an LSU hater, not because of what they've done, but Kim Mulkey came in our state and took the number one girls basketball player. She's going to be going there next year, so I'm a little bit of an LSU hater. Kim Mulkey, come on, man, what's she coming up here for? Cause stay down there in Louisiana, Jeff Falls.
I was gonna say I don't blame Kim for that. I blame.
Yeah, I was gonna say I blame y'all coach for that. You supposed to make a bracket around your state.
Yeah, you should. But yeah, I don't know how he let her get out, but she's gonna be at LSU, so I'm gonna be cheering her on, but hating at the same time because I wanted to do good, but I just wish she was here. But I wanted to do good.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think another thing y'all gonna have to worry about too now is what's your boy Kenny Brooks at Kentucky.
Yeah, he gonna be an issue too.
Yeah, we need to get him fired. We need to figure some stuff out. I'm not prepared to have to, because the one thing we can always point to when these Kentucky fans are talking junk is, hey, y'all can't beat us on that women's court though. Y'all can't even go with us. He out here trying to prove points and stuff, and I really don't appreciate it.
No, not at all. So I spoke about it a little bit. There's not a lot of upsets that happens in the women's bracket because the talent gap in women's basketball just in general is just so wide. So as I was going through it, making my picks, I wasn't trying to do it. I never tried to make this happen, but I ended up with all four number one seeds making it to the Final Four. It's happened a few times in the women's side. End up with USC versus USC. We'll figure out who gets the USC moniker with the Trojans versus the Gamecocks. I got JuJu winning it. I think JuJu needs to win her championship, but JuJu out there with Don Staley on the other side would be a great matchup. And again, my butt will be in a seat for that one. Q, what you got Final Four wise for the women?
Okay, cool. First off, real quick, I just want to say this. I got Murray State beating Owl. It is a 13. It's 11 versus a 6 seed. I just want to get that out because I'm put on for the state. I put on for the state, except for that one school.
Yeah.
Except for that one school, I put on for the state all the time.
The team in blue.
The team in blue I don't affiliate with, but the rest of them schools, hey man, them
Eastern Kentucky,
Western, Northern, Murray, Moorhead, they right here. You know what I mean? Now I got no our number ones except for Notre Dame. I got Notre Dame beating Texas. So yeah, I got UCLA versus USC, and then South Carolina versus Notre Dame. Then in the championship, I got USC versus South Carolina. I'm going with South Carolina. They look mean. They look like we don't care. We don't care about none of this. We don't care about the TV, these cameras right here. We gonna prove a point, and we'll see y'all at the end.
All right. What you got, Seneca?
I got UCLA, USC, South Carolina, and Notre Dame. I basically got like the same matchup like you. I got USC and South Carolina seeing each other in the national championship. I got South Carolina winning it. I just feel like it's a similar thing to like last year with South Carolina when they went against Caitlin Clark. Like the best player on the court is going to be JuJu because JuJu is just super. Like I mean, that girl is changing what women hoop look like with her game and everything. But I just think, like I said, looking at South Carolina when they was announcing that today, I was like, oh, they got that look like how they looked last year coming into it when they felt like they was disrespected. And I'm like, you give Dawn and them ladies just a little bit of something for them to try to add on to the whole thing. As long as they start you locked in, she gonna have them locked in. I think they go back to back.
I think they want to face UConn because UConn came down to their house.
UConn put the smack on them for real.
UConn came to their house. I think that's who they want to face. Personally, I think they don't care about. I think they want UConn to get the championship and be so we can revenge that loss because they came to South Carolina at a game day. ESPN was there.
Didn't wipe their feet off a nut and tracked mud in there. Went in a refrigerator, drank straight out the orange juice carton, didn't get no cup. They put all the backwash in the juice. It was nasty work.
What they say out there in the street, like shoot, they came into your trap and made it my trap.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they did. I think that's who they want. They don't care about the rest of they don't care. JuJu who? That's how South Carolina looking at it. JuJu who? You see who? Listen, give me UConn. That's who I want. That's the UC I want.
And Miss Paige Buckets herself.
That's who I want.
Yep, Miss Paige Buckets. She is pretty much me and Q said it. She might as well go ahead and look for a house in Dallas right now.
Yeah.
That's where she going. That's where she going.
Yeah.
Ray, go ahead and give me your final four. And I got one more thing I want to talk about the women's tournament, but go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, so my final four, of course I got South Carolina winning it all. I just believe in Don. You know, I'm a Don fan. I do have NC State sneaking in there. And then USC, South Carolina, and Texas.
Okay. Who's got winning?
This is in South Carolina winning.
Okay.
Sorry, my allergies is trying to.
Hey, can I just say this to mess with y'all too for a minute?
Go ahead.
I feel like that Haley and TCU gonna make it to the Elite Eight.
Is that how you feeling, huh?
Can they make it? Hold on. No, they won't because they'll lose to Notre Dame. So my bad. But they're gonna be there Sweet 16.
I didn't feel like that was necessary comment. I can't speak for everybody else on the pod. I just didn't feel like that was necessary. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's why North Carolina shouldn't have been in the tournament.
Hey, I mean, I had to come back at you for that.
I have to tell the truth, though. I don't feel like you.
All right, something I wanted to bring up. It was an issue last season. Obviously, it's going to be an issue pretty much maybe to the end of time. The last game is April 6th. Obviously, the national championship game goes into April. The WNBA draft is scheduled for April 14th, and the first game of the WNBA season is May 2nd. So I just wanted you guys' thoughts on that quick turnaround for these women going from March Madness, the stress, the wear and tear that puts on their body, not just March Madness, but just the whole college basketball season as a whole, and going straight into a professional WNBA regular season. What are your thoughts about that? I don't think there's anything they can really do about it right now because WNBA kind of likes where they are. The only issue they have is when the Olympics comes around, they have to put a pause in it. But outside of that, not a big deal. You should want to run the summer because there's not a lot going on this summer. All you got to compete with is baseball. And people ain't watching baseball that much nowadays. Just let's call it a spade. But what are your thoughts on that? I'll go with you, Q. What's your thoughts on that quick turnaround?
The turnaround has always been that turnaround. It has been that way for years. But like you said, what is it for them to do? Because the WNBA can't push their season back.
No.
Because they going up against baseball. ESPN just dropped baseball because people ain't watching it. They don't want to pay absorbing it. It was $500 million. ESPN didn't want to pay. ESPN was like, we'll give you $200 million. Baseball said no. So they don't have ESPN ain't gonna have nothing else to put up against it. So that's what they banking on the WNBA to fill in time slots. So it's kind of one of those. It ain't right, but ain't nothing we could do either situation.
Yeah. Ray, what about you?
I really hate it, to be honest. I understand there's nothing that can be done, but I really hate it. Women have a lot, and not saying, and I'm not taking anything from the male athlete. Please hear me that when I say that. But women have physical games, right? Right? And then we have something that a lot of men don't have. And I know y'all gonna be like, well, why'd you have to bring that up? We have something that happens every month.
I mean,
And some of us might go through drastic mergers, not for that to happen, but it's something that happens every month for majority of the women, right? And let me tell you, that for most women, for a lot of women, can whoop your tail, right? And y'all, those schedules that they have for those women for WNBA versus going right from playing from the championship in April, like you said. I think you said, what did you say?
last game's April 6th. So
And then
Final Four is early April.
Early April, and then
the draft is April 14th.
And then the first game is in May
2nd.
That is a quick turnaround. And then here's the next thing. Mama used to call it wet behind the ears. You still 18, well, not even 18. What? You still 20 some years old.
Yeah. 20,
so
20,
you getting 22. Out of college, going to the WNBA, making not millions, but making money, and having to play within 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And like Quinn said, or one of y'all said, I forgot who y'all said is going straight to Dallas.
Paige.
I'm living over here at this point.
Yep.
And now I got to move all the way to Dallas. This might be my first apartment by myself.
Yeah.
That is a lot. I hate it for them. But hey, it's one of those things you got to grow up. You got to learn one time, kick them out the door. Give them a popsicle on the way out.
And they got to take a pay cut. Because a lot of them top Paige, she's taking a pay cut going from UConn to going back to the WNBA. If we're being honest, she's taking a pay cut.
Yeah.
That's real. And she going from a house to a
one bedroom, probably.
Yep.
Seneca, what's your thoughts on that quick turnaround for these ladies?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a quick turnaround. I don't see anything that you can do about it, because it would be tough to try to do the WNBA season when the NBA is going on, because then all of the scheduling and trying to, like, a lot of them share arenas and stuff. So then do you try to put the WNBA games in the G League arenas? Then that almost seemed disrespectful to their game, because they got stars over there now in the WNBA with, you know what I'm saying, the Aja Wilsons, the Sabrina Ionescu's, Caitlin Clark's, Angel Reese's, and now you got a flood of other ones that's going to be coming in with Paige and Flage and all of them, you know. So you got stars that's over there, so they need their own moments and their own spots to shine and stuff too. But I think we even see it with the turnaround, like this past year. You know, I think when I was on the pod with y'all before, we was talking about Caitlin in the WNBA. Like, it was taking her a while to get adjusted and, you know, get to things going and stuff. And then, like, you even seen it with a player, what's old girl name, Cameron Brink.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if maybe her injury might have been the fact of trying to continue to go on how she went. You know what I'm saying? So I think you're gonna have that also, but it's not really much you can do, because that's the time slot, that's the spot of it. But I just think for those rookies, it's going to be an adjustment for them. But I think once they hit like their year 2, they'll be in a better flow.
Yeah, I think why Caitlin Clark started off slow, you know, like you said, because I've been playing all year, and now I'm tired. I need a break.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's why that Indiana, Indiana Fever fan here, they start playing better after the break because Caitlin was able to rest her legs. I think that's up to the coaches. When you know you got a rookie coming in that came from the tournament, that had a deep run in the tournament, probably not want to play them first couple games or not have them practice as hard. Let them rest their body and bring them along slow. Put them on a minute restriction. I think that would be the best thing to
do. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense right there too. I think that's how you just flow into it, because if some of them is on that run where they done played in the national championship game or their Final Four, they need a little bit of that break to get back going, while you got some of these girls and these women who are ready for this season. So this is their ramp up period, when most of the time for them it's their cool down time.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right.
Yep, very, very much so. So I'm gonna hand it over to Q because we have something very special for you guys. We're doing something. We got us a little bracket thing. So go ahead, Q. Go ahead and break it down because you know the details more than I know the details because you came up with it yourself.
And you said hand off the queue. I'm like, whoa, what are we doing? I forget what we talking about. All right, cool. So the From My Perspective podcast is doing a bracket challenge on ESPN. You already do the ESPN tournament challenges. You already do. So why not join the From My Perspective tournament challenge? So the first place prize gets a From My Perspective T-shirt. Second place gets a tumbler with the Mixed Vibes logo on it. And third place gets a Mixed Vibes calendar. So you will have all the different podcasts that's affiliated with Mixed Vibes. Each of them got their own month. That's third place. And depending on how many people we get, we might have a fourth and fifth place prize. So all you got to do is search From My Perspective in the tournament challenge search in the search engine. Put From My Perspective, and it will pop up.
Yep. Simple and easy. Me and Q, we will be in it. We won't be eligible for any prizes, but we will be in it. We'll see if y'all can do better than us because we know a little something. Just saying, we know a little something. We're pretty knowledgeable in these sports. But that'll do it from our perspective on this episode. Before we get out of here, Seneca or Ray, do you guys have anything you guys want to promote, want to acknowledge? Just this is your time to shine right here.
I'll let
Seneca, you
Ray
go.
go.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna say I'll let you go, Ray, because you got a pod.
Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead, Ray.
Speaking of, I do have a pod. Hold, please. I said what I said. That's my background.
Mhm.
I said what I said. We release our podcast every Sunday. We out there. We like to discuss books, current TV shows, and many more. If you would like to hear our opinions on things, come check us out.
Yep. And for me, Seneca, working on basically building a pod. I do highlights here of Alamance County sports, from our football to basketball, and we just finished up basketball here in Alamance County in North Carolina. We got 2 state champions from our county on the women's side that won at 2 separate classifications. That's the first time ever that we have 2 of our women's team win the state championship in the same year. And now I'm rolling over into covering our baseball and softball team. So I'm hoping to build that up to where then I can start to rival some of the other North Carolina coverages around our high school athletics. So if you're looking for me, Mr. Rogers, on my social media through Instagram is Mr. Neighborhood, and then on Facebook it's just me, Seneca Rogers, and I'm gonna create a Facebook page that's gonna be called the Neighborhood Talk Sports.
Yeah, well, congratulations. I look forward to you doing big things in the softball and baseball realm. Ray, before we really get out here, I'm just wanting to do a little book promoting The Silent Patient. I highly recommend this book since you reviewing books. I don't read a lot, but I got hooked on this book. Very good book with a very crazy ending. I just just want to do a little promoting and give you a nice little book suggestion since you like to review books.
All right. If I read it and listen to it, would you be on the podcast?
Absolutely, because I really like that book. I'm not gonna give too much about it, but it's a good book. Crazy ending.
Silent Patient.
Yeah. But yeah, again, that'll do it from our perspective. Please like, please subscribe, follow us on Twitter, perspective_on8. Follow all the Mixed Vibe podcasts. There's a bunch of them. We're out there doing big things. Shout out to Q. He's the leader. He's been spearhead all this thing. Leave a comment. Again, leave a comment, do all the good things. And again, I'm your boy Dion, Durag on the day. Call me Durag D. Q, go ahead, take us home.
Hey, you already know the best your boy, Mr. Bell, aka can say your name upon the spot. Might not put you to mile. We're gonna catch y'all. On our normal day on Friday. Y'all welcome for a bonus episode. But now we appreciate y'all listening. Later.